project is like a combination of things that I am passionate about. For one side is literature, for the other side is cooking, but I also very interested in the 19th century and from how they live, cook, and specific their literature. So when I found out the book that this project is based on, I was delighted. Emilia Pardo Bazán was a Spanish novelist, journalist, poet, playwright, translator, editor. At the core of everything that she did was the idea that women have the right to education, and that made her a prominent feminist for the time. So, with this idea in mind, Emilia Pardo Bazán created the Women's Library. That was obviously targeted to women, but most importantly, summarize areas of knowledge into small bits that were palatable to women and easy to learn. This is how the book I used for this project was created. The idea behind it is to give recipe to women every week or 2 weeks. They were built for as a fanzine rather than a finished book. It's 2 volumes, all Spanish cooking and modern Spanish cooking. Creating an aesthetic for this project was a little bit challenging for me because I have kind of an idea that to make the project more contemporary, but at the same time, I didn't want it to lose the essence of what it was and what were their principles. So this is how I solved this problem. The calligraphy was one of the last elements I added to the cards. And the reason I added is because she has these tiny little notes handwritten where she crossed over the recipes. And when I was researching about her handwriting, you could see this beautiful calligraphy mixed with her everyday writing that I found very profound and fascinating, and I wanted to include in the project. When I talk about culture inside this book, it's because that was not just recipes, but also commentaries about literature. There are references to the Quixote in this book. Also reference about the relationship between Spain and Latin America. There are recipes, the same recipe but variations in Chile and Mexico, and she included in the book. Also reference to how a recipe that was mentioned in the Quixote evolved through the Spanish history. So it isn't as simple as a cooking book. And I wanted to reflect on that. The teens. This is a little bit more personal. I create this inside a teen because every family in Spain have the sewing kit inside a cooking tin. And it's passed on, at least it was passed on in my family. So it is quite a treasure. And also, my grandmother books was clips from magazines and handwriting notes, and you could see also a reference to the friend that she took the recipe from and notes that changed the cooking time or how placing in the oven. So I think the thing like surround like I give form to this project. Now let's start with the drawings and the calligraphy. In this section, we are going to talk about the inspiration for the theme. These small videos are a snack peek about my work in the sketchbook and the research that I did, primary and secondary. I went back to look for illustration in different type of book in the at the end of the 19th century, at the beginning of the 20th century, to see the styles, the details, And also, as you can see, the colors and the lettering, the composition of the pages. So it was a little bit of work. It is through this process that I realized that every card should be an individual piece so that you can pick it up, read the recipe, do the recipe without needing to the next card. So they are each one an individual piece. Calligraphy. I decided to do the calligraphy with a brush. And the reason for that is that I wanted to look fluid, that you can have more ink in one side than the other side. And that was difficult to get it with a nib, at least for me. And also the idea was to create more like a personality. So you can see some drawings and some testing here. How did I make the prototype? It's important to realize that the illustrations that a tin have are done with enamel and in an industrial process that is impossible to replicate at home. However, I did my best to create an illustration in the tin, as you can see in the pictures. However, all the process to create the illustration in the tin have complications. For the prototype, I settled with a sticker, but I think it need to be reprinted and it need to be done differently. Now with the cards need to be very thick. This is thin, and also I wanted to create like textures, but each one of those, as you can see, are difficult. They don't look particularly good. So some of them are really nice. I'm not gonna deny that. Some of them are quite quirky and fun, but they are not going well with the design, unfortunately. This element came with the idea that at the beginning of the century, many pictures, drawing came with these frames. So I thought it would be interesting and cute to see them. However, they don't really look good and they don't add much to the design. This is the prototype. Inside the tin there is only one charter, soup. The reason for that is only soup have almost 100 recipes, so it was gonna be impossible to fit the whole book there, so I choose soup. On the other hand, each card is an individual piece that can be used in the kitchen. It is covered, so it can be used in the kitchen without damage them. But I think it need to be reprinted in a better quality. Also, the cover need to change, I think, but overall, I'm happy with the results. I will print now all the pages. I love the back. I actually quite happy about how the tiles look like. So overall, I'm really happy with the results. And well, now is to improve the things that were wrong and finish all the cards.